Hello everyone, Just Goran here, and welcome back to the Season 1 tour of the Beekse Bergen. I'm once again joined by Merkx, the actual designer of the zoo. And
At your service.
at your service. And last episode we arrived at the Africa village area, so we're just gonna walk right in and check out what's going on over here. So here's something that's also been taken out of the zoo. It's the little goat petting area.
Yeah, it is. Actually, most of the guests, they asked, wow, this is so lovely, these are pregnant. But actually they were all males. So they were just fat.
Whoops.
And that's one issue we wanted to solve. This table wasn't the best table we have, and we also are aware of the fact that petting zoos are discussed.
Mm-hmm.
Not disgusted, but discussed. So people discuss about it. I don't know if I'm using the right English word. So and also we have plans for the African village,
Mm-hmm.
future plans, in which the goats didn't play a role. So we already put them away, and now this is used as a nice African
Food area.
Yeah. It's like a food area indeed. Yeah, like a food festival. So there's food trucks standing there and some tents, and
Yep.
I actually like the way it is used now.
There were a couple of beanbags, which of course were dragged around by children all over the place.
Yeah, but that was exactly where they are meant for. But
Okay.
the stupid thing about this area is that the playground, which we see, which you actually did very, very well, it is outside of the village. So you have this village where you can buy the food, and people who visited it with children, I think they will they will accompany me in this one. You have the food court, and at one side of the food court you have the terrace, and at the other side you have the playground, and that's a pain in the ass, because the parents want to sit on the terrace and the children want to play,
Yep.
but you can't watch your children play as a parent on the terrace. So that's why the goat field has been
Right.
moved away,
So you can sit there.
so that the terrace was extended along the playground, and people actually like that a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, here we also look at all the little African huts that have all these paintings and things like that.
That's also in the previous episode we discussed the Stanley and its paintings, which I think are a little childish. I also think that about this ones, and for now the designer who did this was Natasha, which I worked a lot with, and I love her. She's still a friend of mine. But this way of African murals I never really liked. And we put them on this village back in 2011. And now last year we built a new toilet group.
Oh yeah, it's actually a lot of fun, because I started in 2019. Every time I went to the zoo to take reference photos, the toilet building came a little further and further along. So I've got I've got photos from it being concrete. I've got photos from it being unpainted.
Nice. Yeah, and now this is a design I made, and Natasha has moved to another. She began her own business, and so now I have a new colleague designer, and I discussed this design with him a lot, because I don't like the paintings, but I did use them on this building.
Yeah.
And he was like, why wouldn't you just put some new kind of paintings on it? But the one thing I did want to was to make sure that it would be one village.
Yeah, it has to be consistent.
There is already a lot of how did you call it again? How did you call it? Rubbish? Jank. There is already a lot of jank around this village. So when we put it two different kinds of murals, it would be a lot of more skank. Jank. Skank is something else.
Oh.
So wow.
Yeah. So this is these murals were made before we had the font pieces. Like in an update, I think at the beginning of this year, we got font pieces that were like completely flat letters and stuff. And I started using those to make all sorts of paintings and all the signs that you see throughout the zoo. But before we didn't have those, so you had to use bigger three-dimensional objects. So they kind of stick in through walls and stuff. So that's something I might want to change as well in the future to actually make the walls flat again. But yeah, here's a little viewing into the aviary. It has the red-crested tuckerow and the spotted thickney, I think are the English names.
The spotted thickney, one of my favorites. I love them being in our zoo. I love them.
Yeah, and they actually got an offspring this year, right?
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah.
But you see this, it feels like rubbish. You see this feeding barrels on the right, which is actually gone because the goats are gone.
Yeah.
And then you have all these different types of stools and tables, and then you have this planting pots, and you also have these lamps, and you have these murals, and then there's a super commercial mural of the Olaf squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to redesign this whole village. So, and for now, we had to take this bitter pill of using the same murals for the inclusion of the toilet group. But in the future, we will redo that, I think. Yep. I hope.
Right, so let's have a little peek at the elephant field before we head back.
This is also a thing. This thing we're standing on right now was actually never meant to be here, but because of people didn't go to the terrace to view the animals, they were just getting right into the bushes.
Oh.
So there was also people, always there were standing people into the bushes next to the terrace. So then, actually for emergency, we built this viewing point.
Yeah. Just to make sure that people don't injure themselves or stuff like that.
But previously, before 2011, we didn't have this terrace. Is that a mandrill?
Yeah, the game doesn't have baboons, and there's no baboon mod yet, so I use mandrills for the time being.
They do need to update their animals. Wow, mandrills, that's cool though. Before the terrace was done, back in 2011, there was a viewing point right at this spot. Maybe people do remember that. And then you got a little further into the area. Actually, where now you stop the pond, where the waterfall is.
Oh yeah.
Actually, in real life, you have about 2 meters of sand, and then you have a small waterfall again.
Yeah.
And that's the point where people used to get to.
Oh wow.
The waterfall was getting into a moat, and the moat was all around the exhibit. And there was a wet moat, but the baboons were able to jump over the moat. So every time we got new baboons, which weren't born in the Beekse Bergen, they jumped out of it. So that's why we redid this whole exhibit back in 2011.
Right. Yeah, baboons are real escape artists. I've heard.
Yeah, they are.
And another thing that you are not a fan of, I remember.
Concrete walls. I do love to use them because they are strong and they are very sustainable. But I think we really have to put them away as much as we can. And the one thing about this viewing point is that you got so far, so close to these concrete walls that you can't see them. That's why I always like to bring people back, so I have a lot of distance between the concrete walls and the visitors. And also, I think we have to make sure that the landscape is high enough. So behind this elephant, it should be this high that we can't see the concrete wall in the back. Yeah, that one.
Yep.
So in my opinion, we should put some more sand in this habitat. Or bring the visitors down.
Yep.
so you would be looking more over the surface than onto the surface. But that's some zoo design talk.
I mean, that's what people are here for, I think. So, as we're heading back, here we've got the little viewing of the... I think what I've done wrong here is that there's not supposed to be springbok in here.
You also made the rust.
Oh yeah, of course.
Wow. Oh wow. That's why we don't even. In the Black Rhino exhibit, I said let's don't even paint them. Just put them rusty because they will be rusty at the end, and it still works. Here you see in the back as well the first ape house.
Yeah.
So in the previous episode we already visited the second one. It's like almost two of the exact same buildings, which were built in 2006 and 2008. And in my opinion, in the future we have to do something with this view. Mm-hmm. I don't like that you're watching a savanna and you see this block of concrete in the back of it.
It's actually funny that this is the first and the other is the second, because I've always been calling them the other way around, because that's the first you encounter.
Yeah, that's true. But backstage we also say mensape 1 and mensape 2. Mensape 1, so ape building 1, that's always the one in the middle of the park.
Yeah, yeah, because it's the first one that was built.
Yeah.
Cool. And going to the right, we've got the white rhino stall, which I learned the other day was initially built for Indian rhinos. Or at least that's what I was told, and I was very confused.
Who told you that?
The Sunrise Safari tour person.
No, it was not.
No.
But I could imagine, because a lot of people think this is a top here in the front, but it is not. It's just a dry moat to make sure the rhinos won't get to the wall. No, this has always been a white rhino stable, always.
Yeah, it's also a little. This was also built pretty early on, so there's a lot of kind of.
Actually, I thought you had Indian rhinos walking in it. Is this also a mod?
A very long time ago, but the previous DLC or the downloadable content of the game included the actual white rhinos. So finally,
nice.
I was able to add those. Yeah, it had white rhinos, African penguin, meerkats, and fennec foxes. So 3 of those animals I was very happy with that I could add those to the zoo. And
I would also be very happy with the 4th though. The fennec.
Yeah, it's a beautiful animal. But yeah, I was especially happy with the meerkats, because before I had aardvark in the meerkat habitat, and that was just, I mean, it was fine to have something in there, but nothing can really replace the meerkats, of course. So I even kind of redesigned the entire area, took out a lot of inaccuracies. So we'll see that when we get there. So little backstage over there. There's also the ranger camp.
It's a shame. It's a shame you even recreated the gates being open. Every time I walk along them and they are open, I think we have to close this because you're watching.
Garbage.
Yeah, you see straight to the garbage. And in the back you see the ranger camp.
Yeah, which I haven't finished yet, but
coming soon.
Yeah, I'll add it soon.
Actually, the first ever design of me being created in real life was the toilet of the ranger camp.
Which is exactly what I still have to make.
Yeah, but it has already been replaced by design.
Oh, too bad.
But maybe that's a fun fact.
I really want to stay here. Actually, I didn't keep eyes on the availability this year, but there were 2 tents left last weekend, but I already had plans, so I couldn't.
That's a shame.
That's a shame.
It's a great thing. So for everyone who's watching, if you've never been to the ranger camp of Safaripark Beekse Bergen, you really should one time.
Hashtag not an ad.
No, it's true. It's not an ad. It's true. I did a ranger camp for a lot of times, being a ranger, and every time it's a whole new experience. It's Very, very, very cool.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, here's another one of those cheetah viewing points.
Yeah, I love it. I love the raising of the field.
Yeah. And we also have the bee hotel and this little shack, which is just a random bit of theming, or does it have?
No, it was part of we had a speurtocht.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the English word, but the children could get to do a tour around the zoo with the waypoints.
Right.
And one of the waypoints was this poaching hut, which I decorated myself. But the poaching hut last year disappeared. Nobody know where all the teaming has gone. So that's like a mystery, an in-house mystery. So it's not in the park anymore.
Weird.
Because we of course have a new poaching hut in the new Black Rhino area.
Yep. So we also have the bee hotel.
The bee hotel. Oh,
just
such a thing.
Giving some space for the
cheetahs.
Native species. I almost said native feces. That's a very
native feces. Oh, no, that's a little back in the toilet group.
All right, so yeah, we have another view into the cheetahs from up here, and we've got another one of those raised areas for the two savannas.
Yeah, I love the species on that side you're pointing at now.
Yeah. Too bad we only have springbok in game. The blessbok are absent.
Yeah, that's a shame. Blessbok are extraordinary.
Yeah, they look pretty funny. They have a long
they
face.
Are extraordinary.
Here we do have them on the sign.
Oh wow! Oh, they should be in the game so hard. I loved making the safari report on those as well. It was love the antelopes. This is nice.
And here, there's no Watusi cattle, though a mod of the Watusi cattle is in the works. I can't wait to add it. But I've just put down some African buffalo for the time being.
Okay, and these also aren't eland, are they?
No, they are kudus. So
could work as well.
The kudus are actually also a mod, but just to get as close as I could to the real animal.
Close enough.
Yeah. And yesterday during the evening safari, this field was just beautiful. With the sun was setting in the back and reflecting on the water, it was fantastic. Yeah.
It has always been. When I was 14 years old, I took some pictures of the rhino plains in the sunset, and I still I love it. Yeah. Once a year we have a barbecue with all the rangers, and we're sleeping in the ranger camp as well. And then during sunset we always get to this how do you call it? Dike?
Yeah, I think so. I've always called them land bridges, but I don't think that's
land bridge. Wow, it's a raised land bridge. So we always go to the raised land bridge, and we sit there with all of us sharing a glass of wine and watching the sunset. It's truly magic.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. So yeah, we've got.
So this is also don't you think that island where the baboons are on is like no man's land?
Yeah, it's kind of it's really interesting because you've got a slight view into it from here, but the baboons don't really have to deal with any people getting up close.
No, and but it's the same as with the spotted hyenas, which are placed into the striped hyenas exhibit, and what they did to it is the same with these baboons placed into a chimpanzee exhibit. And when the chimpanzees were there, it was like green, and there was bushes, and there was plants, and it was nice. And now it's baboons, and it's only sand and dead bushes and dead branches, and it's like Simba, who has been told that where the shadow is, you can't come, and that's like our baboon island. We should do something about that, I think, in the future.
I mean, we'll get to that when we get to like the giraffe plains. In the past, they were kind of barren as well, and I feel like you've already managed to fix it a little bit. It was a lot more. Oh crap! I forget this always happens here. But I feel like it was a lot greener this year already.
The giraffe plains?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I have to say the giraffe plains isn't the most difficult plains to keep green. But last year we had a perfect summer, of course, and we had a lot of sun, but we also had a lot of rain, and it wasn't that hot, so the grass did really well on all our plains, except for the Rhino plain.
Right.
It's also in the new Rhino exhibit. I'm really glad the way the grass grew there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it went pretty fast, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like when we were talking like half a year ago, I think you were mentioning... Oh crap, it happened again. I think you were mentioning that you were planning on getting more like nutrients into the ground to get the grass growing more.
That's true. We discussed that, but in the end I overtold it with our green specialists, and they weren't sure it would be really helping. So in the end we didn't do that, but we did use another type of grass seed, and that worked out very well. So I'm very happy with that. It's a lot more. Overall, I don't know if people do like this information, but in the regular way, you use grass seed for like playing fields or sport fields or lawns, and now we did use a mix of seeds. So it's a lot of different types of grasses, and which are originally from the grounds we have at Beekse Bergen. So it was a mix of seeds which was made specially for our type of soil. So that worked out very, very well. I'm very glad with that, and it's also very good for the ecology and the biodiversity. So yeah, I'm really glad with that.
I mean, I think it's interesting because you have to take into account, like, you can't always force plants to grow and stuff like that. Like the yak, actually we can see them in the back. The yak habitat is also pretty barren.
Yeah, but that's also because there's a lot of shadow on this island. So there's a lot of cattle, which is yak. Actually, it's just cattle, which eat everything they see. And also there's a lot of shadow, so there's little species of plants which would remain. Yeah. So it's indeed like a loosey island.
Yeah, and we'll see later perhaps, but I really already could see the contrast between the yak, where it's completely barren, and then the black buck, which have at least a couple of plants still around.
Yeah, true.
You can really notice the difference there, which is...
It would also, maybe it would help to once get onto the island and take away all the pines which fell out of the trees. Maybe that would help. Oh, it would be something we could do, maybe.
See, even you are getting new ideas.
Yeah, I will discuss that.
Alright, so here's the chimpanzee feeding show area. And there's not one taking place right now, but I did actually put down a little education point here, so every now and then a employee will stand over here to give a little talk about the chimpanzees, which is really cool.
Why is this rope laying down on the ground?
Because it was.
Wow.
In one of my photos, so...
That's such a shame.
So yeah, there we go.
Oh wow. I'm so glad people can't see my face at the moment.
He's face palming very hard. So yeah, last episode we talked about the souvenir shop inside the first chimpanzee house, and this is where the other one would be then, I guess. Oh,
yeah.
I got some walls sticking through. That's not supposed to be there. I should fix that.
There's still when you're in this exhibit, when you look to the roofing in the point, like wow, you even made it like there's water dripping in. There's some artificial leaves on the ceiling, and there used to be stuffed animals as well. These were stuffed animals they actually sold in this souvenir shop. And these are leftovers which nobody got rid of, so that's why they were still in there. I don't know if they're still there.
I don't think so. I haven't seen them, but what I do like is that something I'm also missing that I want to add in the future is there's actually supposed to be a couple of windows over here where you can look into the backstage of the aviary, which I think this is the only place in the zoo you can do that for any of the aviaries.
Yeah, that's true. I like it as well.
And just to show it off, quickly gonna make it rain, because when you make it rain, the chimps tend to come inside, which is pretty fun.
Do they actually use these climbing structures?
From what I remember, they do. I actually do have some old footage of them extra camera. They went into the back room now, but...
You also make the enrichment. That's nice.
Yeah, that's also something the game just has, and when I can, I want to add stuff like that.
Did you just copy paste both these buildings?
I copy pasted the first one to over here, and then I changed it because I feel like the sizes were pretty different to add the baboon habitat on the back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did have to alter a lot of stuff, but they don't seem to want to climb too much. Oh, there one goes. So yeah, they do climb around a little bit.
Wow.
Which is
nice.
Which is fun. All right, let's.
Oh, shout out to the moderators. That's very nice. They did it.
Oh no, this is not modded. This is just from the game itself.
Yeah, but the game has moderators itself, right?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't call it that, but yeah, the model. Just the game artist.
The game artist. Oh,
so modders are called modders because they modify the existing game, basically. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people. I hope no one is listening. I hope for you, but I don't hope for me.
I'm sure it's fine. Right. So let's have a quick look at the aviaries and the meerkats, and then we'll end off this episode. So here we have the gorilla field as well. Sadly, no Colobus monkeys in the game yet, but I think someone was working on one, so could be adding those soon, perhaps.
That would be great.
Yeah, I love seeing the Colobus and the gorillas. They do interact a little bit sometimes. I've got one clip of a gorilla punching the underside of this little shack because the Colobus on top was being annoying. So that's always fun to see. Yeah, and then here we have our very special secretary
bird. Yeah. Wow. Looks like it's sick.
Yeah. So with the shack in between and these nice viewing. I'm never sure which I prefer, chain link or glass for these sorts of things. Because the glass is very reflective, but the chain link is of course also hard to see through sometimes.
Yeah, actually, the using glass is it's not only because it's reflective; it's also because it has to be cleaned every day. People will touch it, and especially in the season, children who have ice cream, they will just rub it around the glass, and also the animals will fly through it sometimes, or maybe like chimpanzees, they just get rid of their shit along the glass. So you have to clean it every day. That's the thing, and of course the reflection is also a thing, and that's why a lot of glass viewing areas also always have a roof on top of it. It's actually most of the times it isn't even for people to stand dry or stand out of the sun, but it's mostly to provide shadow to avoid reflection.
Right. Yeah, that's actually very nice inside. All right. So I loved the little skulls and stuff. We don't really have any skulls, but I had to improvise.
Yeah, you did a good job. Actually, this is the design of our head of birds, Robin, and he's great. He loves to design zoos, and he sometimes have this brilliant ideas. And in this vulture aviary, he wanted to have a dry moat like there's a river which dried out, and animals who wanted to drink were dying because there was no water. That's the storyline behind it.
Oh wow!
And that's why the vultures are there. So I really like his way of thinking. He really did a good job.
Yeah, that's a whole story. That's really cool.
Oh.
All right, so turning around, let me see if I can get. No, I can't get any better lighting here. But here's the meerkats in all their glory.
Yeah.
So the in-game ones actually do dig their own holes, so that's what you can kind of see those things. But I also added my own because there are a lot of kind of like horizontal burrows and stuff like that. So just to get the whole proper look.
Cool.
And then
this is also we discussed it. I thought it was the previous episode, but here's also the thing with the concrete wall in the back. You see.
Oh yeah.
And in the paint of it all, they also painted it a bright piece of gray. So not a dark gray, which will make sure you won't see it as much as you do when you paint it in a bright color. But they did it in like a brighter gray. It's
Yeah.
I always when I'm in the safari park, I always step along this exhibit.
Oh. That's a pity. Because they are fantastic animals. I always love seeing them on top of the little hut.
Yeah, and in the early days, that's nice to know that previous, when the apes weren't there yet, you have to imagine that the wall in the back, it was a little lower. That's why they escaped all the time. That's why we raised it recently. But you have to imagine that the reed is gone. This wall is a little lower. The ape building in the back was gone. So you saw the meerkat on hills. And when you watched over the meerkat, in the back you saw the rhinos, the blastbuck, the springbuck. It was like a giant panoramic view. When you go a little up with your camera, maybe we can leave the point of view of a visitor. Maybe we can. You would, you see. So this how do you call it? Land bridge wasn't there yet, and the aviary of the flamingos wasn't there yet, and this building wasn't there yet. So this was one giant plain of rhinos, and you see the meerkat exhibit in the down in the bottom. So could you imagine what you saw? You saw this meerkat in the front actually of a giant plain. Oh, and I would really like to bring that back a little. This kind of see-through, walk-through exhibits. That's what I actually try to do again with the black rhino.
Yeah,
so
and
when
the wild dogs.
Safari. Yeah. So you see the black rhino, and in the back you see the wild dog. And when you're at the car safari, you see wild dogs, and in the back you see the black rhino.
Yeah.
And when you're at the boat, you'll see the black rhino, then you see visitors, then you see zebras and waterbuck and wildebeest, and you won't see any fence. I love that kind of design. It's called landscape immersion. I love it, and Erik van Vliet is I think he's great in that trick. So there's a safari park back in the 90s. It was like all of the safari park was landscape immersion. It's wow.
Right, let's finish off over here with the Yak Peninsula, and here you can kind of see what I meant earlier, like the Blackbuck Peninsula. You've got a couple of plants, and then the Yak just completely empty. So,
indeed.
So yeah, let's finish this up here, and then we'll see you guys in the next video.
Wow, looking forward.
Once again. Bye-bye.
Bye.